Howdy Hacker, and welcome to a very special episode of FairLight TV. Yes, so for this time we will have a look at how I manage the cracking projects. It will be a very special episode where I will show a number of the sort of internal secrets, and you will probably also see references to a number of the internal tools. So stay tuned. Okay, now we're diving into the details here. My standard environment you see on the screen now is Sublime, which is sort of the basis for everything I do. I have defined a project. I don't think this is sort of a standard thing that comes with Sublime from start, so I think this is something for free that you can install. So I set up a project for everything I do. And then the basis for my project is the make.bat, which is the batch file, the Windows batch file that builds my entire project from A to Z. So before we get into this, I have taken the original game, extracted all the files I want. So this is how to produce from raw files a final release version. I call KickAssembler to do something with FileFix. I tend to name it FileFix. That is the file that extracts the extracted file, patch them up because they are raw in their extracted form, and then I save them back in a temporary file. And that's all done in the FileFix. We will get to that file in a minute. And then seemingly I take one of those files, or even in this case it's actually only one file, that is the patched up file, and then I use Exomizer on top of it. That was for testing purposes actually. When I see it here, you can actually remove that row because it's just one file that I can run without the intro and everything on. So you could forget about that row. Let's rem that out so it doesn't confuse you. So let's assume we now have extracted data run through this FileFix process where I do all the patching that I want to do to that file, and they are stored back. I take the main file and then I use CLD, which is a run length encoding packer by the leader, TLR. And you can see the parameter, it jumps to CC40. It should load to basic start. It shouldn't have any sysline because the CLD file is not expected to run, so basic file would be a waste of space. I just want to have the RLE pack data and the depacker attached to it. Okay, so now I have a chunk of data that was turned into a smaller chunk of data because I run run length encoding on top of it. Then I call KickAssembler again, and this is the intro. You can see I have subfolder called intro, where the Alchemist intro, which is the one we used on Dark Catacombs. I import the blob, that's done in the alchemist.asm file. And then I run the Exomizer on the intro here. Yes, and here again I'm doing is with and without intro to compare with. Again, this is also something you can rem that one out. And then I do something which is sort of peculiar. I use build D64 from the directly from the assembler. Sorry for a number of these lines being somewhat confusing, but forget those and look at the key ones. So FileFix here. So what this does is tell KickAssembler to generate an output file. It should contain the main import segment and the main patch segment, and these segments could overlap, and the whole point of patching is that they should overlap, so you allow overlap. And here I import the file, so I extract from extracted folder. I have a file called big one, very handy name, and then I write all my patches in here. Yes, we just scroll through it. Here's actually the trainer, and yeah, this is the trainer menu. I found some place in the memory where I can store the trainer text. It was very it was very pressed for space in this game. You wouldn't imagine, but it actually was. And then I have stuff like fill. Here I fill away some sort of routine. I could leave it there, of course, but it becomes smaller if I fill it with zeros. Anybody who looked at the run length encoding episode a few episodes back would understand why I do this, because the end result becomes a lot smaller. And then I also have the build D64. So here it's Dark Catacombs. Here you can see that I generated the with intro from the make, but I'm not including it in the final D64. So Dark Catacombs +/FLT is taken from _temp with intro -patch.prg. And then I'm also taking a note file here. And then you can see the chunk underneath is the directory art that I imported to this. Yeah, so I'm using GitHub to locally. I don't sync to any Git on web-based Git projects. This is just using a local repository. Okay, release is where we have the final files ending up. So you would have the Dark Catacombs and maps and screenshots and all of that. The original was here. The intro source is here. This place where I place the extracted data from the original, they are here. And then we have a docs folder, which is this one. So I write this, and there is an assembly file, and then there is a quick help. And we can have a look at this one. This is rather interesting. So I've coded a program called FL Texter. So that is a program that imports a standard PC text file and formats it. So this is a standard PC text file. The destination is that. And then you pad it to 24 rows high screens. And the source, the destination, so the output of this should be C64 screen codes. But you can use this for padding for 20-line high text blocks, and then going to Petsky, for instance. So these are the options. So this is a very handy way of generating your docs files rather than kind of typing them and assuming that you're doing row breaks after row 39 or 40. Okay, we have the directory art is here, and then crack docs, yes. So whenever I do my stuff, I tend to document. So this is where we fetched the original game, and this is the steps I took. So and when looking through the memory, these are the trainers I identified in the process. So I always write one of those text files to ensure that when I get back to the project a number of weeks later, I tend to have forgotten the details. And this is a very good way of trying to look back and see where we were and what I did and where I put my breakpoints and all of that. So that was a rather simple project compared to a number of the others we have involved in. It's a single file, so there is no level loader or anything like that. But it gives you a basic overview of how we structure the project for generating a crack for FairLight. That's all for now, and thanks so much for watching. Ensure that you press subscribe and the bell button, and yeah, you know the drill, all that. Share and like, and we appreciate your participation in this, and we would welcome you back to the next version. See you then.